Hello everyone, and this video will cover evaluating variable expressions. It's kind of a little step past the order of operations video we've done already, so if you've checked out the order of operations video, this is just to make sure you understand everything. Okay, so we are going to start with our first example. Okay, let's say if you wanted to evaluate 2w squared minus 3w plus 7 when w equals -2. Okay, so whenever you have an equation like this and they're asking you to evaluate or solve when the variable equals a certain value, the first thing you want to do is replace that variable with that value. Okay, so first thing you want to do is replace every w with -2. Okay, now once you do that, your 2w squared minus 3w plus 7 becomes 2, and instead of w squared, we'll have -2 squared minus 3 times -2 plus 7. And once you have those all replaced, you're going to apply your PEMDAS, your order of operations, okay, which we went over on our order of operations video. Okay. Now, one thing you want to make sure that you notice, these parentheses here are not grouping symbols. These are used for multiplication. And the reason why you know it's not a grouping symbol is because it's only one term. So if you had like 1 plus 2 or 3 minus 2 or something like that, then you would have a grouping symbol that's grouping together more than one term. When you have just the one term, a -2 here or -2, it's used just for multiplication. So for this one, as far as the parentheses for grouping symbol, we don't have any. Those parentheses are strictly for multiplication. Okay, now we do have exponent right here. Okay, so you have -2 squared, which is -2 times -2. 2 times 2 is 4. Negative times negative is positive, so that stays positive. Okay, so you have 2 times 4. Uh-oh. Didn't mean to put that there. So we have 2 times 4 minus 3 times -2 plus 7. So now you do your multiply or divide, again from left to right. So we start with our 2 times 4 here. 2 times 4 is 8, minus 3 times -2, which is -6, plus 7. Okay, so now we add or subtract, and again from left to right. 8 minus -6 is the same as saying 8 plus 6. Okay, so we have 14 plus 7, which is 21. Okay, so 2w squared minus 3w plus 7, when you replace w with -2, you should have gotten 21. Now, if you replace w with another value, you'll get a different answer. All right, so let's go on to our next example. Okay, so let's say if we wanted to evaluate 7m minus 4n minus 2. But in this case, it's when m is equal to negative 4 and n is equal to negative 9. Okay, so this one we're replacing two variables, but we're doing the exact same thing. Okay, so again, your first step, you're going to replace every m with negative 4 and n with negative 9. Okay. Now, just so happens we only have one of each, so we don't have to replace multiple m's or multiple n's. So that gives us 7m minus 4n minus 2 becomes 7 times negative 4, since we replaced that m with negative 4, minus 4 times negative 9 minus 2. And then we apply our order of operations. Okay. And again, these parentheses, it's just one term and it's used for multiplication. We're not using it as a grouping symbol. So we don't have any grouping symbol parentheses. Okay. You don't have any exponents. We can cross that out. You have multiplication or division, again from left to right. Okay, so if we go from left to right, 7 times negative 4 is negative 28, minus 4 times negative 9 is negative 36, minus 2. A little bit crooked there. I'll try to straighten it out. Okay, so now we do our adding or subtracting. And again, we can go from left to right. Okay, so going from left to right, we subtract those two. This is the same as saying negative 28 minus negative is just plus 36. Remember, when you ever have a minus and negative, you just change the minus to plus, and then change the sign to the immediate right. Okay, so we end up with 8 minus 2, which is 6. Okay, so whenever we have 7m minus 4n minus 2, and we replace m with negative 4 and n with negative 9, we end up with 6. Now, if we replace m and n with something else, we'll end up with a different different answer. Okay, so these next couple of answers are really just kind of a review to make sure that little mistakes aren't made. So hopefully these will look familiar. All right, so let's say, for example, if we wanted to simplify, say for problem A, negative 4 squared, and for problem B, you have negative 4 squared. Okay, so for problem A, you have to remember these two are different answers. They're not the same thing, all because of the parentheses and the exponent. Okay, so when you have negative 4 squared without parentheses, this squared only applies to the 4. It doesn't apply to the negative sign. So really, this is just like saying negative 1 times 4 squared. Okay, so we know that 4 squared is 4 times 4, which is 16. So this is like saying negative 1 times 16, which is negative 16. Okay, now if we go to question B, the negative 4 in parentheses squared. Okay, that's just like saying -4 times -4, because that square covers everything in the parentheses because it's right on the outside of it. Okay, 4 times 4 is 16. Negative times negative is positive, so it stays positive 16. Okay, so let's say if we have to evaluate -2 to the 6th power. Okay, now that 6 applies to everything in those parentheses. Okay, so -2 to the 6th power is just -2 times -2 times -2 times -2 times -2 times -2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Okay, now if you like, you can multiply these 2 at a time. Multiply those 2, and those 2. -2 times -2 is +4 times -2 times -2, +4 times -2 times -2, which is +4. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. Okay, so -2 to the 6th power is +64. Okay, so let's go to our next example. Oops, here we go. Okay, what if we wanted to simplify problem A, -3 to the 5th power, and problem B, -3 in parentheses to the 5th power. Okay, so you go ahead and press pause, and I want you to go ahead and give those two a try. And when you're done, click pause again, and we can get started. All right, so assuming you hit pause and you already worked out the answer, we're just going to verify that you are correct, because I believe you are. And if not, practice makes perfect. Okay, so -3 to the 5th power, remember that's just like saying -1 times 3 to the 5th power. Okay, and we know that 3 to the 5th power is just 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, which is 243. Okay, so that's -1 times 243, which is -243. Okay, same with problem B. -3 to the 5th power, because of the parentheses, is -3 times -3 times -3 times -3 times -3. Okay, now if you like, you can just multiply those two, then multiply those two. So -3 times -3, +9, times -3 times -3, +9, times that last remaining -3. So 9 times 9 is 81. 81 times -3 will give us -243. Okay, so hopefully this helped, and I will see you on the next video.